Yo, what's up boys, welcome back to another behind the IGL video on the channel. So the last behind the IGL video we talked about how to get high every game, and now in this video we're going to talk about how to get low ground and play it. If you guys want to support me, remember that you can use code Vujcich in the item shop. If you want to follow back on Twitter, make sure you record a video of you buying something with my code as proof and post it on Twitter while tagging me, and I will flee back. Anyways, let's just get into it. Enjoy. So now we're in the first game, and this is like a game from Grand Royale, one of the qualifiers. And so we've just came out of off spawn, got 3 kills, and we know there's 66 alive, so we don't need any surge. So I'm probably just gonna make a call to go like up here around to dead side, anywhere up here basically, just so the next rotate's easy and we can keep max mats. And following these roads when you have a black car is like so good because you go so fast and you can just tank it through like when people are near you and they shoot you. And then I see that team over there. I was gonna keep going, but then I realized zone's in 10 seconds, so there's no point. We can just build like a single box here, farm up and wait for zone to pop and then see where to go next. And then this next zone pulls, and the position I want to eventually be in is center third, which is the zone after this zone. And in this zone, it doesn't really matter where you are. You just want to be in like a non-stack lobby. If you don't need surge, you just want to be kind of like up here, somewhere around there, where it's like dead, and you can keep your mats and keep farming and make sure the next rotate's easy. And then we picked this spot here because first of all, there's a lot of brick to refarm, and we can just build a base out of brick and chill there. And we're the team right here on the map, and I chose a spot because it's not like in dead side, but it's not in the very middle, so I know that if zone pulls back here or anywhere over here basically, the rotates are going to be really easy because we're cutting out 2 dead side out the back of us to any of these zones. And the worst zone possible would be like over here, which I think does happen, and that's still a pretty free rotate if you go instantly. Because my main goal is to get center third like as quick as I can, so I just set myself up in a good position in the second zone to be able to get to center third basically. Any position like back here, anywhere like around here would have been okay to be in second zone, because it's the same thing. You can just run around and keep farming your mats, keeping them cap, and then rotate to center third really easily no matter where it is. But we just based here because we don't need to farm anything, and there was like a team ahead of us a bit and we need to stop as well. And then this next zone is interesting. So it pulls like to the worst place, to be honest, which is over here, and like I said before, I want to be center third. So I'm looking at the rotate here, and I'm thinking like an option was to stay, right? But then what I was thinking about that, right, is when zone fully closes, all these teams have to rotate in towards us, and then there's going to be like a big pile up here, which you call congested side. And then what happens there is if 4th zone, say it pulls over here, and you're on congested side, you have to rotate to there with all these other people, and you either die or you're going to use a lot of mats and a pad. But if you're exactly center third, then you are guaranteed zone and you don't have to rotate through or with anyone and don't have to use any mats, etc. And another thing I realized is if zone pulls over here like to max, basically the worst possible, is there's going to be a lot of people set up here, and no one's gonna base like in the wood over here, right? So there's gonna be like there'll be like a line of people set up here. If we play edge here and then zone pulls all the way over there, then there's gonna be like a lot of people holding us, and we have to cross the river, etc., and that's a really bad rotate. So I know now is the time to cross that river in case it does pull over, since there's nobody there yet. And I know this is gonna use like a fair bit of mats, but I know it's way more worth it than having to rotate there later when there's a bunch of people there, if zone pulls that way. And another thing is, you know, this says 69 people live, and you're gonna need a lot of surge. And being center third is really good for surge, right? Because say you're based here, and then every single, like you're guaranteed zone here basically, and nearly every single zone is gonna pull to an edge like that. So these are like possible third zones basically. And that's you in the middle there. This is pretty messy, but every zone that you'll pull, you'll be in if you're exactly center. Say for example, you pull a zone like this, a third zone like this, and your base exactly center, you're going to notice that all these people have to rotate towards you. And then since you're already in zone, you can hold them all and you can get all your surge. And I knew this lobby was super stacked, as you can see in the top right. We're going to need more surge. So I knew going center third would be good for literally every circumstance and everything we needed instead of staying back here. And the thing I've got a habit in doing is when I'm like in the third zone and I'm not exactly center, I'm marking what the worst possible zone is, which is my marker here. And then I look and find out what the easiest rotate would be for that, like before zones even pop, so I can do that instantly. And then the worst possible zone does pull, like to my marker. And I've already set up the rotate, so I know what to do. And you want to be getting to edge fourth as soon as possible, especially where you need surge. Because you don't want to be waiting and just focus on the rotate and then everyone's already rotated around you and you get no surge. And now you'll notice we're here and there's all these teams here that have to rotate right towards us because they have not set themselves up center, and now we get all the surge from that. And then we just had to pad this zone. And I wanted to land at the back because it's more dead. I've talked about that in the video before. And another thing I've talked about in the video before is landing in like the very center of half-half against zone, which makes it so every possible first moving is going to be the exactly equal distance from you. So every rotate is going to be easy, and if you have a pad, you're going to be able to go further with your pad. And then another like habit I've started doing is when I'm like in a weird low ground layer like this in half-half and I'm gonna pad next zone, I like build a box above us to pad from, like I did there, and then I just go back down and let it build. So this is us here, and I do this because it makes it so you know you're gonna have a box to pad from, and you don't have to edit out from your low ground base and go up one and then pad, which sometimes kills you and mucks you up. And then basic stuff, I'm just waiting until zones on my back and then padding. And there's like another habit I've been doing as well, is not padding when the zone's exactly on our back, padding a bit before it. One, so my teammates don't take damage to zone, and two, because sometimes when you do an edge, like there's people like this that are like pressured from zone and they're gonna really be looking for like pads to recycle, so you need a pad before they get to you and scuff you over. Because say I did it right now, these people are right next to us and they might like cone you or pump you, etc. So even if you're playing low ground, you still want to land on a high layer and first moving most of the time. This is just to like ensure that no matter what the next zone is, it's going to be easy for you to rotate since you're so high up. You won't have to change layers no matter where zone goes. And then here you'll notice me tapping so deep into zone. And this is because I'm setting ourselves up to get low ground eventually. Because I know this area is pretty flat, like if it goes towards Orchard here. And by the way, moving zones work. So say this is half-half, and then it pulls up to here, and then everyone's rotating towards it, this is first moving, this is half-half. Say everyone's rotating to first moving, and then everyone like roughly majority of the lobby like stop in this little area here, and then there's this area here that's left like dead and not many people there. As you can see in this game, it clearly happened. You see there's no one here, but the majority of people are all here. And what you want to do is tap to the front of that, because what you can do is, so this is us in the middle here, and then what you can do is if zone pulls like far again, you can instantly drop to low ground here and claim it because there's nobody there basically, and then you just start tarping and claim it all, claim low ground, but you have to do that as quick as possible. And then as soon as zone pulls, you see me drop all the way to low ground front side because I knew I would be able to take it. And if you take low ground like in the early zone, you want to play to like an edge, just because you're probably not going to be able to like have low ground to yourself in an early zone, so there's going to be other people on low ground, so you want to be on the edge so you're not like the middle low ground team and then you're not going to get pressured from both sides. So this is us here on the left on the side, and then there's like a middle low ground team and then one on the right. You need to think about the possible next zones, right? So say zone pulls over here, third moving, we here on the left, we can easily take that, we claim that, and they have to change layers. And then if zone pulls like up here, back here, behind us, we get all those zones, right? And the same exact thing with this team that might be on the right side of low ground. Say zone pulls over here, over here, over here, they should be able to claim those, like claim low ground on those movings. But what can happen like in an early zone for like low ground players is if you're the very middle one, it's going to be pretty hard to claim any zone except like a far one, because if it goes to the left you have to go through this team, if it goes to the right you have to go through that team, and you're probably going to have to change layers. And then another habit I've got into is when I'm on low ground and I get to the end of like the moving zone, you'll see me make like a whole 2x2 box here to claim a lot of area at the end of first moving. I mean at the end of like any moving zone that we're low ground, and that's to make sure that the majority of zones we're going to have all the piece control and stuff to claim low ground on the next zones. And it blocks off like any other low ground team. Like this team, they don't get as much space as us. And then another thing is when you're low ground, you need to constantly be fighting like the other low ground teams, just so you can keep claiming it. You can never share low ground unless it's like a really early moving zone basically. And then zone pulls back through our top, so I come to my teammates that we all need to get front side because we need to claim low ground. We can't be caring about like single kills at the back of the top. We need to all be front side and claiming low and fighting teams off it. And then I notice here zone goes up and like I have to change the layer, right? So a thing I do a lot is like when zone goes up and I have to change layer, you'll notice me tank zone to get a bunch of edits ahead like that, and then I'll pop whites after. And the reason why I do this is because like when you change layer basically you're like moving into new territory, and especially if you're low ground and you're going up a layer, there's like most likely going to be a team that's trying to establish above you, and if you're taking your time going up, they can just run over you and like fight you for it. But like say you're this team here, if they see me like go out and tank and build a bunch of double middle edits, they're gonna be forced to not fight us and they're gonna do something else instead and leave us alone, and then we can claim the layer really easily. And then I notice here the terrain drops another level, so we can drop down and claim low again. And you see me tanking again when I change layers. And it's pretty simple here. All you need to do is just keep claiming the entire low ground layer and just keep fighting everyone off and dropping when the terrain drops. I think I made a bad call like here. Like there was this guy here, and I was like, I come to fight him and get in, but what we could have done is easily just dropped down here to the bottom layer, because it stayed on this layer the whole time, and we could have just built triple down here, all be alive, built heaps of like double hits above us, and that would have been the freest win. But we made a bad play. And you notice bottom left, Sin goes down, and then it's me and Arctic, but we're pretty low. Like right here, we should have been doing this, but all alive as a trio, and we wouldn't be able to win really easily. But instead, we get mowed by Tui, but we don't talk about that.